Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and this is the brand new facelifted Volkswagen T-Cross. And today I'm going to find out if it's any good. Right, okay then, so let's start here at the front where there are a few minor changes over the previous T-Cross. These lights are new and it's not on this particular top spec R-Line model, but you can now get the IQ dynamic lighting that you can get on other VWs on certain specifications. No actual fog lights in here, although they are an option, and it's a bit more chiseled, a bit more sporty than the old car. The old car had more of an SUV-ish face. It's still got the brush guard here at the bottom, but generally very similar. So let's go and have a look at the side and see what's going on there. Right, here at the side we've got some lovely 17-inch wheels on this R-Line specification. We have an R badge, which I'm going to suggest on this car stands for Rubber Ducky Yellow, because that is the name of this colour, as voted for by Volkswagen owners. So it's quite nice to see that VW are listening to the feedback of customers and then actually implementing it on the car. Let me know what you think of this colour, because I actually quite like it. Further down, we've got some silver roof rails up here on the top, because this is after all an SUV. You've got some R-Line details like these extra skirty bits on the side here. You've got some plastic cladding around the wheels to lean into the SUV-ness, bit of chrome detailing, but let's go and have a look at the back, because there's been a few updates there as well. Right here at the back, the main difference is the changes to this light bar, which isn't actually a light bar. It is more of a light bar than the old car, because now the brakes actually go into this central panel here, whereas before it was just a reflector that went the full width of the boot lid, and some people didn't like that. Jasper, who's a bit weird. But now this is much better. No exhausts showing down here. It still hides all of that stuff because having a petrol car is filthy. You've got some sporty elements here with the grills. You've got the T-Cross name plastered across the boot lid here. But let's open up the boot, not electronic, where we find 384 litres of space, or 455 if you move the rear seats forwards, which are on sliders. If you fold those rear seats down, you've got 1,281 litres of space, which is quite a lot. You've also got a false floor, which you can keep at the position where you can slide things all the way through the vehicle, or I can lower it very easily, just drop it down, and that sits on top of the spare wheel well, which doesn't have a spare wheel in it, but does have room for one. You get a tyre inflation kit instead. There are a few tie-down hooks here on both sides, but no real special features. There's no 12-volt socket back here. So what I think I'll do now is close up this boot, go and sit in the back and see if I fit. Right, here in the back seats, and I have the driver's seat set up in my driving position. For reference, I'm 6'2" or 188 centimeters tall, and as you can see, I have a little bit of knee room. My knees would touch if I sat all the way back. Headroom, again, fairly decent. I do touch if I sit bolt upright, but you would slouch a little bit, and I can put my knees either side of this seat. The middle seat is a bit smaller and is raised up, so there's going to be less room for people in here, and there is quite a large hump in the floor here, so you are going to be fighting for foot space. You don't get a central armrest, but that's the same on the old car. You've got Isofix on both the outer seats, and then here in the middle you've got two USB-C charging points and a little cubby that I've never really understood the point of. In my opinion, that should be where climate controls go, but you don't get those in the back. You've got two seat back pockets on both of the seats, and the door bin is actually a very decent size, more than enough room in there for a big bottle of water. Plastics on the top of the doors back here is hard, but where you rest your arm, it's still hard, but it doesn't hurt. It's pretty reasonable, but there's not too much else going on back here. So what I'll do now is move up front and we'll see what's going on there. Right, here in the front, we'll start with the steering wheel, which has an R badge on it. We've got on this side my cruise control functions, so I can set my distance and all of that stuff from these. I've got volume controls, and then on this side, it's your controls for altering your 10.25-inch digital cockpit and seek and changing tracks on this side. I will mention these are all physical buttons. They're not haptic like on other VW models, so that's nice to see. I've got a screen in front of me. If you've owned a VW in the past, this will be familiar to you. This is the older system that they still include, thankfully, because this is a lot easier to use, in my opinion, than the new one, because they separate the climate controls out down here on some haptic buttons. On the old car, they were physical buttons that you either pressed or turned a dial, but now it's this slider thing, so you can slide your finger up and down to change the fan speed. You've got heated seats in this top spec R-Line model, but it's easier than it all being incorporated into the screen. It's just not my personal preference. I'd still rather have old-fashioned dials. Screen works really well. You've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and that all fires up and works very nicely in there. And then practicality wise, we've got a decent glove box here. We've got some door pockets, which again are very big. You've got two cup holders here in the middle. You've got an armrest that lifts up and has a small amount of room in there. You've got a cubby down here. It's not a wireless charger, but you can plug your phone in with two USB-Cs just below that. You've got a 12-volt socket here. This car is an automatic, so it has a DSG gearbox selector here in the center. You've got a proper physical manual handbrake here, but generally the quality has improved in here. You've got soft touch here on the dashboard. You've got a nice bit of faux leather on the dashboard, but the material choices have changed for the better, which is good, because I think that was a criticism of the old car. But now what I'd like to do is go out and drive it on the road and see what's changed there. Right, so driving the new T-Cross. So first things first, engines. You've got a choice of 3 different petrol engines. You've got a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged unit, which you can either have with 95 PS or 115 PS, which is the engine I've got in this car today. Or on the top spec R-Line model, you can upgrade to the 1.5 Evo series engines, which has 150 PS if you want to be really sporty, but then that does cost quite a lot. This car that I'm in right now is £30,500, which is quite a lot for a small SUV like this. Prices for the new T-Cross start around £24,000. You can have them all the way up to £32,500 if you really want to, but really, I think that one of the mid-spec cars, probably the Style, is the one to go for, middle of the road, in the mid to high 20 range price wise. You can go for the R-Line obviously if you like the styling elements that you get on this, but really for kit wise, that's the one to go for. In terms of the driving experience, it's very VW, and that is solid and sensible and not flamboyant. It holds on to the road reasonably well. It's not a sporty car at all, obviously. This engine, 115 PS, as I said, 0 to 60, 10.3 seconds, top speed 120-ish miles an hour. It's not going to set anyone's pants on fire, but that's not what it's designed to do, so we're not worried about that. The suspension is reasonable. It's a little bit firmer on this R-Line model because it's got bigger wheels and stuff like that, so if you want more comfortable suspension, go for one of the lower spec models. But yeah, to drive, perfectly pleasant. One thing I will mention is you do have quite a nice high seating position for a car of this class, so you can actually get a good view ahead over cars in front of you, which is a nice thing to have and makes it feel bigger than it otherwise would. This is still quite a compact car, you have to remember. It's same size, basically, or same footprint as a Polo, just taller. So It's still going to be nice and easy for parking around town. It's going to be reasonably frugal, in the 40s for MPG. You know, it's in the lower tax brackets that you can get nowadays. So overall, as an entry-level car into this small SUV space, it's quite a good option to go for. Definitely worth checking out. And I guess with that in mind, we'll head back and I'll do a conclusion. Right then, that is the new T-Cross tested, and as I alluded to throughout the video, it's had a nice couple of updates that just keep it fresh, keep it relevant within this very competitive space. It's had some nice updates compared to the version that my parents own, so that's good to see. And really, if you want a small entry-level SUV, like your first SUV, this is a very good option. It's nicely styled, it's got that SUV styling, you sit quite high up if you like that sort of thing. I think that it's just generally worth checking out if you're in the space for this kind of car. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the newly facelifted T-Cross, but most importantly, please do subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on so you never miss an upload. If you want to support what we do, you can do so in a couple of ways. You can buy some merch, which is linked down below, or you can become a channel member. So check those out, get some exclusive behind the scenes content, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.